Haha! Hi everyone, Blunthony Eek Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Azealia Banks record, Broke with Expensive Taste. Azealia Banks is a New York-based singer and rapper, and this is her repeatedly postponed full-length debut album, Broke with Expensive Taste. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but here it is, existing. At this point, it's funny to think that it's been 3 years since the release of Azalea's biggest and breakoutiest single, 212. But even though it's taken a long time for this record to see the light of day, Azealia has done a pretty good job of maintaining people's attention because she's kept a steady stream of singles coming out. She had a mixtape drop, an EP, and she has had many a Twitter beef since the release of 212 as well. Some of her lashing out was even directed at fellow collaborators like Pharrell on the song ATM Jam, which was one of her least successful singles, and she was pretty quick to put the blame on Pharrell for that. But the thing is, a lot of the singles Banks was releasing between 212 and this record were not even really that great. And even the good ones were still showing some chinks in her armor. For one, she's not that versatile of a rapper, and she's a kind of subpar singer too. Still, there aren't that many notable hip-hop artists out right now that are fusing rap music with house. At least not in the way that they used to in the days of Missy Elliott and Rob Bass, and even Technotronic, artists whose influences ring pretty clear in Azalea's music. And the song 212 is undeniably one of the best singles hip house has had in years. Given the distance between this album and 212, I'm kind of in my head left questioning, are we just going to have another Kreayshawn here, sort of an overnight sensation who just waited too long to capitalize on her one single hit, and also completely lacks the potential to come out with another viral single. But personally, I can't really see it playing out like that. I think we're going to hear more from Azealia in the future because, as far as the Kreayshawn comparison, she is on another talent level. She sounds great on a beat, she's got flow. Even though I'm not always in love with her singing, I do think the melodies that she tries to sing a lot of the time aren't too bad. And I also don't get the sense that her music is novelty in any way. Even though some of her singles have been pretty awful, and even though that Atlantis video was completely gross and tasteless. Azealia is a serious musician. Azealia is really trying on this record, and the results are here for the most part. She brings on a series of very reputable, interesting producers on this LP: Machine Drum, Lone, MJ Cole, A-Rab Music. One track here grabs a very brave and interesting Enon sample, and we also have Bodica, even Ariel Pink, among others. I actually like a lot of the instrumentals on this record, even on some tracks where I don't like Azalea's singing at all, like on the opener here. The beat is pretty progressive and kind of interesting, but when the lyrics and the songwriting come together with a good instrumental, we get a great track, like on Gimme a Chance. The song that I mentioned has that Enon sample, really funky bass line and drum break on this thing. And then toward the end of the track, it makes a surprise turn into Latin music, totally changes up the beat. We get a great horn section, and Azealia is even rapping in Spanish. It's ambitious and really turns out great. Azealia drifts away from some of the house instrumentals that we're used to hearing her on and hops on a few bangers, which I'm glad she did for the sake of variety, like on Heavy Metal and Reflective. I like her lyrics on this track, although I think that the song really could have used a hi-hat. Regardless, the track has a completely unexpected Blade Runner reference inside of it. Then we have Desperado. Fantastic song. MJ Cole actually did the production here. I love the UK garage flavored instrumental on this thing, the haunting melody, the Desperado vocal sample. The song instrumentally is top notch, and as far as Azealia goes, she works her way into this preconceived beat pretty well. We get the song BBD, another trap electro flavored banger with some pretty good lyrics as well. The song Ice Princess, which is more lyrical brags, but Azealia works in a ton of cold and ice and winter references throughout this track. And we also get the songs 212 and Young Rapunzel. She's still trying to get mileage out of these older, stale singles, though they still don't sound that bad here and still add to the overall character of the record. 212, I hope you've heard, and Young Rapunzel is easily one of her most interesting singles, even if you don't think it's one of her best, which features some strange screams, a really loud cacophonous beat. It's like she's pulling from some Atari Teenage Riot or even some Prodigy. The song is dark, it's epic, it's wild. I can't deny it. Even though I didn't expect it, this record has quite a bit going for it. But it's also got a lot of downsides and feels like an album put together by somebody who, in the music industry, is relatively behind the ears. It feels very much like a debut album that doesn't know what direction it wants to go in. Not only that, but there are elements of this record that just aren't that polished, like the singing. Constantly, Azealia just functions off of these sort of corny, musical theater-inspired vocal inflections where she just throws her voice, she's just singing from the back of her throat most of the time. It sounds like she's just putting on a voice. Or when she's rapping, she's just throwing her voice down a few registers, trying to give the appearance that her voice is deeper than it really is, which is just not the case because when she tries to sing in her lower register, that is where she is missing the most notes. I feel like Azealia tries to give us these kind of over-the-top, maybe somewhat theatrical inflections, but she doesn't have the range or the passion or the power to really sell it in the same way someone like Lady Gaga, someone who is similarly excessive when it comes to vocals. And we get weak singing on track after track after track. Soda, Wallace, Luxury, and the closer, where Azalea's vocals are actually mixed really horribly with the beat. The song just sounds like a demo, and it's maybe the worst way the album could have ended. There are moments where I'm impressed with Azalea's beat choices, when I like her flow, when her rapping isn't that bad, or her lyric writing, but when it comes to her singing, it's like the smoke screen just drops, and it's revealed that instead of listening to a great album, I'm watching some Toddlers and Tiaras style talent show, which is not cute when the contestants are in their 20s. And I can't even begin to talk about how ridiculous and unnecessary the song Nude Beach A Go-Go was on this record, which again is just Azealia singing over an instrumental over a track that is going to be on Ariel Pink's new record. I hope Ariel Pink got a good paycheck out of this because she took a perfectly good song and turned it into something that sounds like it's from the Bye Bye Birdie soundtrack on Molly. And this song actually makes me rethink the whole Azealia Banks not being novelty thing I said toward the beginning of this review. Because there are so many beats on this record that have a life outside of Azalea's music. It just seems like she's not really writing or creating a lot of these songs, but just finding beats and then just singing and rapping over them. And sometimes magic happens over the course of that process, and it seems like Azealia really reclaims an instrumental as her own, and it would be hard to imagine that instrumental without her listening to it again. But a lot of the time, I just feel like I'm kind of getting some like really weak, watered down mixtape type material. Or just like bad karaoke, where you make up your own words. I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this thing. Transition, if you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Azealia Banks, broke with expensive taste, forever.